This is part 78 of ASP.NET Core tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss creating roles in ASP.NET Core using the Identity API. To create a new user using the Identity API, we use the built-in UserManager class. We discussed this class in detail in parts 65, 66, and 67 of our ASP.NET Core tutorial. We also discussed how to extend this identity user class so we could store additional data about the user like their gender, city, country, etc. in part 77. Just like how we have UserManager class to manage users, that is to create, read, update and delete users, we have RoleManager class to manage roles, that is create, read, update and delete roles. The built-in identity user class represents a user and it is passed as a generic argument to the UserManager class, so both these classes can work together to manage users in the underlying database. Similarly, IdentityRole class represents a role in Identity API and it is passed as a generic argument to RoleManager. So both these classes, that is RoleManager and IdentityRole, can work together to manage roles in the underlying database. Like most things in ASP.NET Core, the RoleManager service is made available to any controller, view, or another custom class within our project by ASP.NET Core dependency injection. Notice in this example right here, RoleManager service is injected into the administration controller using constructor injection. So our first natural step here is to add this administration controller to our project. So let's flip over to Visual Studio. We want to add a new controller. So right click, add, we want to add a class, and let's name this controller administration controller. To make this class a controller, we must inherit from the built-in controller class. Bring in the required namespace and then let's include a constructor so we can inject the RoleManager service. To be able to inject RoleManager service, we include a constructor parameter of type RoleManager. Bring in the required namespace and then we want to pass IdentityRole as the generic argument to RoleManager class, so it knows it has to work along with this class to manage roles in the underlying database. Let's call the parameter RoleManager and then let's ask Visual Studio by pressing Ctrl+ to generate the required private field. Now, if we take a look at SQL Server Object Explorer, except this employees table, the rest of the tables here are generated by the Identity API. Users are stored in ASP.NET Users table. Similarly, roles are stored in this ASP.NET Roles table. So if we take a look at the data in this table, we do not have any roles as expected. When creating a new role, we just need to provide a unique name for that role. The ID value is automatically computed. To be able to create a new role, we need a view model. Let's place that view model in the view models folder. So right click, add, we want to add a class and let's name our view model create role view model. We just need one property in this view model and that is for the role name. The data type is string and the name of the property is role name. This is a required property, so let's include the required attribute. Bring in the required data annotations namespace. Next, we need a pair of action methods within our administration controller. One action method responds to HTTP GET and the other one responds to HTTP POST. Let's name these actions create role. First, let's create the one that responds to HTTP GET. This is a public method, returns action result, and let's name the method create role. We want this action method to respond to HTTP GET, so let's decorate it with HTTP GET attribute. And all this method is going to do is return the view. The name of our action method is create role. So ASP.NET Core MVC is going to look for a view with the same name create role in the administration subfolder in the views folder. Administration subfolder because the name of our controller is administration controller. So to the views folder, let's add a new folder. Name it administration. We want to add our create role view in this folder. So right click on the folder, add new item. We want to add a razor view. Let's name our razor view create role. The code in this view is going to be very similar to what we already have in this register view. So in the interest of time, let's copy this HTML, paste it within our create role view, and then change the bits as required. First of all, the model for our create role view is this create role view model class. So let's specify that as the model first. And then change the page title to create new role. And let's also change the h1 here. Remember, to create a new role, we need to provide a unique role name. And in this create role view model class, we have role name property. So we want to bind these three elements, label, input, and span, to the role name property. So let's change the ASP-for tag helper accordingly for all these three elements. We don't need password, confirm password, and city elements, so let's delete all of them. And let's change the text on the button to create role. With all these changes in place, let's run our project and see what we've got so far. We are on the home page. To get to our create role view, we need to navigate to /administration/create role. /administration because the name of the controller is administration controller and the name of the action is create role. We need to be authenticated to get to the create role action within the administration controller. That's because if we take a look at startup.cs file, notice here we have included a global authorization filter that requires users to be authenticated to get to controller actions unless the controller action methods are decorated with allow anonymous attribute. That's how we are able to get the login and register actions without first being authenticated. Now let's log in using the email prajim@prajimtech.com. There we go. We see our create role view as expected. At the moment, the width of the button is set to 75 pixels in site.css. So this create role button looks a bit awkward. Let's override the width by setting it explicitly in the create role view right here on the button. Let's set the width to auto. Notice now the button looks much better. If I try to create a role without providing a name, we get our required validation error. If I provide a role name and then click the create role button, we see a 404 error. This is because at the moment within our administration controller, we do not have create role action that responds to HTTP post. So let's make a copy of this action method and then change the attribute to HTTP post. This create role action method is going to receive create role view model as an input parameter. Bring in the required namespace and let's call the parameter model. If the model state is valid, we want to create a new identity role object because remember in ASP.NET Core a role is represented by this built-in identity role class. Populate the name property of this identity role object using the role name property of this incoming model object. Next, we want to use this injected RoleManager service to create the role in the underlying database. As you can see from the IntelliSense, this method takes identity role object as a parameter and creates the corresponding role in the underlying database. And this method returns task of identity result. So first, let's pass this identity role object as a parameter. And we know this is going to return a task of identity result. So let's create a variable of type identity result. Let's call the variable result. As the name implies, create async method is an asynchronous method, so let's await it. Since we are calling an async method inside this create role action method, let's also turn this method into an async method and wrap the result using a task. We want to create the role in the underlying database only if the model state is valid. So let's move this line inside the if block. this result object has got succeeded property. So if result.succeeded, so if this succeeded property has returned true, then we know the role is successfully created in the underlying database. So let's redirect the user to the index section of our home controller. This result object has also got errors property. So let's use a for each loop and loop over each identity error in result.errors. As we are looping through the errors, let's add them to the model state object. To add the errors to the model state object, we have add model error method. Let's pass an empty string as the key, and to get the error description on the error object, we have description property. If the model state is not valid, then we know this statement is executed. To this view method, let's pass this incoming model object. So if the model state is valid, then we know the code inside this if block is executed, else the create role view is re-rendered with the validation errors. The user gets the opportunity to fix those validation errors and resubmit the view. At this point, let's save our changes and take one final look at the browser. Let's create a role with name admin. There we go. Our new role is created and we are redirected to the index section of our home controller. At this point, if we take a look at the AspNetRoles table, notice we have a role with name admin created. The ID value is also automatically calculated, which is a GUID, a globally unique identifier. In our upcoming videos, we'll discuss adding users to these roles and then also performing role-based authorization. That's it in this video. Thank you for listening.